Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and yes, once more we sit here after yet another Celtic victory, another tough one at that, at Pittodrie. It's Aberdeen 2, Celtic 3, and what was a game that I just couldn't wait to see end. And look, I'm not going to create this impression that Celtic are slowing down, we're burning out, and we're there for the taking, and our arse is collapsing. That isn't the case at all. Aberdeen put a fantastic shift in that second half compared to what their first half performance was. At half time, it looked like the game was over. I assumed the game was over. It was a completely different side we faced in that second half. Celtic held on well, we reacted well, and we get what we deserved at the end of the day. We were the better team over the course of the game. We deserved the 3 points. We worked hard, and God bless the main man, Jota. What a performance from him. What a performance from Celtic. It doesn't matter how you do it in this title charge, this title race. A win's a win, and that's another massive one in what has been a string of massive wins for Celtic. It was a roller coaster of emotions, that game. I thought it was it at half time, but no, they kept us waiting, and it's not going to be good for the heart. We know that. The cliches that Celtic aren't good for the heart. It's a very true cliche. That game was another fantastic example of that. One which I look at my dad and go, you know, I think both of us are going to struggle with this, and we certainly did struggle. Aberdeen really good in that second half. As I said, I've already mentioned, it was like playing two different sides tonight. Celtic had to adjust to play Aberdeen in both halves. The first half, let's start from there as we always do. I mean, we were fantastic. Once more, we looked like that unstoppable unit that we've looked over the past few games. A team that's just unbeatable in this country, and that was the real vibe that we got from that first half once again. The team selection came out tonight. Let's go there as we normally do. I was pretty happy with it. The one big exclusion that I don't think we expected was Juranovic. He wasn't even involved with the bench tonight, never mind the first 11. So waiting to see what's happening with that. But in regards to the rest of the team, it was a really strong side we fielded. I was right in saying that I thought Maida would start up front tonight, and he did, but the rest of the team pretty bang on, pretty much what I expected. And look, it was a very impressive first half performance. We looked like we were so dominant that we scared Aberdeen. Aberdeen just didn't know how to cope with us, just like every team has been like against us this season. But Aberdeen in particular looked really scared in that first half. I don't know what quite happened at half time to change that. I don't know what was said by Stephen Glass to get a completely different shift in the attitude. Maybe it was Scott Brown, who knows. But they looked terrified in that first half. There was one clip in particular where the camera panned away to David Bates, and he looked as though he was about to start bubbling. He genuinely looked upset. He looked traumatised at what he was coming up against, and we were one of that. It was one of those performances again. It was one of those nights for Celtic where everything we touched turned to gold in the opening 45 minutes, and we're really good. Now, say what you want about how the second goal goes in the back of the net, maybe you get a bit of luck, but we were well more than deserving of our 2-0 lead that we had at the end of the half. We were just playing some lovely stuff, and once again, that midfield, I'm just so impressed by it every single week. Every time, and do you know what the thing is? It's a rotating midfield. Once again, we've seen Rogic drop out tonight. We've seen O'Reilly come in. It looked seamless. It looked like there was nothing that changed from the weekend. Rogic, O'Reilly, I think they're clones. I think that O'Reilly is. They make this joke about FM regens or FIFA regens. I genuinely think O'Reilly might be that of Rogic, because it's just so seamless. It seems so natural. They both fill that role beautifully. They complement Hatate and McGregor so well, and of course we had O'Reilly tonight in there rather than Rogic, and his performance in that first half in particular was fantastic yet again. Gets his first goal for the club, but everything happens in the middle of the park for us. It's beautiful. Everything just, you know, obviously we start from the back. It's the way that Ange likes to play his football, but the midfield just seems like the real engine. And where we get things going, we spread the ball out to the wingers or through the middle or whatnot. Maida makes a run in behind, but the midfield, they can just do so much. They can look for that ambitious pass. They don't always need to play it safe. They'll go for something a little bit more eye-catching, a little bit more ambitious. They'll send it out to Jota when he's maybe in a precarious position. They just have a real eye for it in the midfield, and we can create something out of nothing. Hatate, once again, really impressed from him in that opening 45. McGregor with a mask on, O'Reilly as well. We were really just so dominant in that first half, and one man we've got to talk about is Jota. God bless him. What A player, absolutely tremendous footballer, and we don't need to, sit and rant and rave about that because we've been doing it all season. His football ability does all the talking, his performances do the talking, but tonight, to get those 2 goals, it was good to see him back in the score sheet. It's been quite a while since we've seen Jota score. Of course, he was out for a little while. I've been missing that feeling. He does so much that he deserves the goals. He deserves the moment of celebration. But that first half, he was once again. It was just too hot to handle for Aberdeen. That's simply it. He's just a level above in this country. I thought he was brilliant in that opening 45, and the whole team was altogether. It was a real trademark Ange Postecoglou's Celtic performance, I thought. And you know what? I didn't think that we would change that much in the second half. I thought it would have been more of the same. But I sit here corrected. One, I don't think any of us expected the second half to go the way it did. Let's be quite honest, Aberdeen were the better side. They were definitely the better side in the second half. I was really impressed actually with the way that they reacted to being 2-0 down at half time. We've seen Rangers last week, they couldn't get by us. We've seen so many teams 2 or 3 goals down by half time, they couldn't get by us. Aberdeen, they really got stuck into us. They really tried to bring the game to us. And I don't know, as I said earlier on, what happened at half time, what was said in the changing room, what was said by Scott Brown with Stephen Glass, maybe even with Johnny Hayes, but they had a real go at us, and I think they showed that when Celtic are good, but a wee bit of bravery, and you can still compete with this Celtic side. You can still make them a little bit nervy, because we looked a little bit nervy. Aberdeen really did kind of shake us a little bit. I thought we handled it really well as the game went on, and we'll talk about the reaction for our third goal in a minute, but they did kind of shake us a little bit, I thought, and that was, it wasn't worrying, I would say. I wouldn't go as far as that, because look, we won the game and we were still the better side over the course of the game, I thought, but they definitely kind of shown that there is a little bit of, I think, shock factor still left at the time. I don't think we were really expecting them to come at us the way that they did. I think we were a little bit bewildered at it, you could say. And the way we conceded goals was just really annoying. We just looked so incapable of defending crossed balls in that second half, I thought. Every time Aberdeen crossed a ball into the area, I was kind of flinching. I was like wincing at the opportunity of Aberdeen scoring a goal. I could see something coming from every cross ball. I don't know what it was, but there wasn't any reassurance in the defence for a good portion of that second half for me. And we've seen that with the set piece defending. Ultimately, it's how we conceded our 2 goals. We let Aberdeen back into the game, and it was so reminiscent of Celtic performances last season. And we'll come on to talk about the 3 things we've learned in the last sort of portion of this video. However, it was really poor. It was really poor quality. It's very uncharacteristic of Celtic this season, I would say, but there is still some minor signs that show it's something that needs worked on. I'm not going to get carried away with it. We've been so good, and I'm not going to say, I think it's so easy for us as Celtic fans to be reactionary in this situation and go, we still can't defend set pieces. We're still dodgy from time to time, but ultimately you look at our defensive record and it's really good. The most annoying thing about tonight is the fact we have given away 2 goals. 1 every now and then you can accept and you can be content with, you could say, but 2 really annoys me because we've got such a good defensive record. I don't want to see us concede 2 in a game, but it is just ultimately our own faults. We were poor. We gave away goals to Aberdeen that they worked hard for. They could have had a third as well. It was called offside. But yeah, I thought that we just looked a little bit, I don't know, naive maybe in the second half when they were coming at us. We just looked a little bit shy, a wee bit anxious, and I don't know what it was, but we did react incredibly well. To be quite frank, you couldn't ask for a better reaction, and Jota once more pulling the strings, getting us back in the lead. And that's one thing I like about this Celtic side. I think it's so easy when you've conceded 2 goals in reasonably quick succession, when you've blew away a 2-goal lead, to try and calm things down, to try and go back to the goalkeeper, back to the defenders, and just kind of ease yourself back into the game. And suddenly, and this is what I always hate it, I always hate that, because suddenly 10 or 15 minutes has gone by after that point. And this is what I'm going to use the first thing we've learned. I think that's something Ange has brought here. That don't stop, never stop. That clip from the start of the season, we all know and talk about it all the time, but one thing he's brought in is that urgency, that determination, that go from the start attitude. That is something that is proper stained in these players now, and we've seen that tonight. We've learned that tonight. I don't think we needed more reinforcement on it, but if you did want some, it was that there tonight, because I was going to say, it's so easy, I think, in that situation when you've blown away a 2-goal lead, to go and start passing it around the back, try and feel yourself back into the game, try and slow things down, as they say. Celtic didn't want that. Celtic wanted the goal as quickly as possible. You talk about the old FIFA kickoff glitch. That was that tonight. Celtic wanted it from the minute the whistle was blown to kick off the game again. And I honestly prefer that over this fucking, right, let's take 10-15 minutes to feel ourselves back into the game. I can't remember the exact minute that Aberdeen scored their equaliser on, but what I will say is, usually, and most occasions, suddenly you're 10-15 minutes down the line, you're looking at the clock, there's about 15 minutes to go, and you're thinking, this goal isn't going to come. Players start rushing, players start getting nervous, and ultimately it just becomes a harder game. So it was good that we went out there and pushed for that third, and it was very impressive that we held on as well, considering Aberdeen were giving it a right good go. And as I said at the top of the video, it's a win. That's what matters. We're still top of the table, and bring on the next game. So I think I touched on the first thing that we learned there reasonably well. I've made it pretty articulate what I thought there. In terms of the other two things we learned, I think that you could easily, as I said, jump in and start going set-piece defending. Yes, I think we've looked dodgy at times of the season, but I'm not going to sit here and say we still can't defend a set-piece, because that's nonsense. I don't think we're perfect at it, and I still think there's a wee bit to maybe work on there, but it's total lies if you come out and go, we can't defend a set-piece. Look, our defensive record speaks for itself, and we've defended set-pieces reasonably well for the majority of the season. It's just when you do concede from set-pieces, it sort of enhances the old argument, it brings it back, so it's so easy to fall into that trap. I think the second thing is, it's good that we've got options up front. I'm happy with that, and one thing I've not really touched on is individual performances. I haven't really jumped into them as much as I would, probably because I've already spoke a power of shite already in this video, but I wasn't too impressed with Maida tonight, and that's not to say, that's not to throw him and rubbish him out to the side and go, he's not good enough or nothing, or he's rotten, I'm not going to start that, but it's good that we now have ourselves a situation where we can look to the bench, we can have options that isn't fucking Albion Ajeti. So many times last season we'd see Edouard playing poorly or whatever, or even at the start of this season we'd see Kyogo struggling with an injury or such, and we're thinking, oh Christ, we've got to turn and hope for the best from Mr. Albion Ajeti, and that is not the situation anymore. That's not what has to happen. We've got the likes of Giacomakis, we'll have Kyogo coming back, we can also play about with some players as well, maybe bring like Jota into the middle. We have got options, so I'm glad that that's there, because I think that Maida was struggling tonight. I don't think he was terrible by any means, I just didn't think he was great. And Giacomakis was able to come on, and I think the style of players Giacomakis is really did help us in that final sort of 10-15 minutes. Third thing we learned, we're top of the league still. That'll do. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Hope you have all enjoyed the video. We're nearly at 32,500, a few subs away from that, so let's hit that halfway point and let's get to 33,000 as quickly as possible by hitting the big red subscribe button below, by hitting the like button and sharing out the content. And I'll talk to you all in the next video as we head towards the next round of the Scottish Cup. See you all next time.